Let's take a look at number 2. Remember from before that anything you see me type out in red, you should also write on your own paper. So just like in number 1, here we need to get rid of those parentheses before we can move on. So let's do that now. I'm distributing on the left-hand side x times x minus 3. So x times x gives me x squared. I'm subtracting, so I'll continue subtracting. And x times 3 is 3x. So this transforms the left-hand side of my equation from x times x minus 3 minus 51 to x squared minus 3x minus 51. The right-hand side of my equation doesn't change because I haven't actually changed the value of my equation. I've just simplified one side. So now that I've got this new equation, what I'm really focusing on is solving for this x squared. I want the x squared by itself, all right? I don't really care about the x right now, even though I'm normally solving for just x, because I know that's going to cancel out because of the nature of the problems we're looking at. So let's start by getting those x's to go away. I want x squared by itself. Actually, let's start with the constants because we know we want x squared by itself. And so in order to make that happen, we're going to have to add 51 to both sides of our equation. So when I add 51 to the left-hand side, it does not change the value of x squared. It does not change the value of 3x, but the 51s cancel out. The right-hand side of the equation, the negative 3x does not change, and 13 plus 51 gives me 64. All right, so now I've at least gotten my constants into one term. I'm still trying to solve for x squared. So let's try to get rid of that 3x that's on the left-hand side, right? We're doing minus 3x on the left-hand side. So in order to make that disappear, what I believe we need to do is add 3x to both sides to make that cancel out. And at this level, when we're solving these problems, we want those 3x's to disappear, right? Someday you'll get to problems where you can solve for x squared when the x stays in the variable, but we're not going to work on that quite yet. We need to be comfortable with these problems first. All right? So on the left-hand side, x squared minus 3x plus 3x, that cancels out to just x squared. And then for the right-hand side, minus 3x plus 3x, those cancel out, but the 64 remains. So if we condense our space a little bit here, you'll notice that we have x squared equals 64. Hopefully this is one that you know offhand. But if it's not, you could check it on your calculator. We know that the square root of 64 is 8. Now, if you think back to the work we've done with the square roots, you'll know that 8 isn't actually the only answer to this question. We need to think about positive or negative 8. And we write that using this symbol. That's a plus sign on top of a minus sign. So this means plus or minus 8. And the reason that is there are two ways to multiply a number by itself and get 64. We could take 8 times 8 and get 64. Or we could take negative 8 times negative 8 and also get 64, right? Because those two negatives cancel out and give us a positive. So there are two square roots of 64, positive 8 and negative 8. And this is how we write this. So there are two solutions to this equation. So when we check our work, we're going to check both of those solutions. Let's check the first one right now. The left-hand side, x times x minus 3 minus 51, will become 8 times 8 minus 3 minus 51. I know this is not in red ink. For some reason, my computer is glitching. Please write it down anyway. And the right-hand side will be negative 3 times 8 plus 13. So let's start by simplifying what's in the parentheses, and then we'll evaluate each side. So on the left-hand side, I've got 8 times 8 minus 3, which is 8 times 5, minus 51. And on the right-hand side, I've got negative 3 times 8, which is negative 24, plus 13. So let's simplify both of these. 8 times 5 is 40, minus 51, and that's going to be equal to negative 24 plus, which is negative 11. Well, 40 minus 51 is also negative 11. So this is, in fact, a valid answer if x is equal to negative 8. Or positive 8, sorry. Let's look at what happens if we let x equal negative 8. So we're going to look at that same equation, which I'm going to just copy down here. And this time we're going to let x equal negative 8. So let's check it out. Negative 8 times negative 8 minus 3 minus 51 equals negative 3 times negative 8 plus 13. So this is going to change the value of our answer, right? We're not going to get negative 11 equals negative 11 again. This time we're going to get something else. So we'll follow the same order of operations for simplifying, right? We've got negative 8 times, and then negative 8 minus 3 is negative 11 minus 51 equals negative 3 times negative 8. That's a positive 24 plus 13. When I simplify the left-hand side, negative 8 times negative 11 is positive 88 minus 51. And that's going to be equal to 24 plus 13 if negative 8 is in fact a solution. So let's check it out. 88 minus 51 is 37. And 24 plus 13 is also 37. So we got different values for this equation when I plugged in the two different values, but they both satisfied the equation. So this equation had two solutions. At this point, if you're comfortable trying number 3 on your own, please go ahead and do so. Just like always, if you have a question or a comment, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I will try to answer questions as soon as I possibly can. If you're comfortable moving on, great. If not, check out the video for number 3.